Put put it on a quote card. Reed Hanson, Mike Trout, bad at baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll get that
pretty
posted on
much.
Twitter as
Pretty
soon as
much.
possible.
And
Um,
then put that in quotes, Christopher Sathie.
we are officially 100 days away from the start of the World Baseball Classic, and we are excited to announce that the boys from Platoon Podcast are going to be going. Welcome
Let's
back
go.
to Platoon Baseball Podcast World Baseball Classic Edition. We're going to be going over some lineups for US Team USA today and just what we're looking forward to on our little trip to Houston to watch the World Baseball Classic. How are we doing today?
Doing well, doing well. We're happy to have Rito on the pod again too.
Rito on again.
Good to be back, boys. Good to be back.
We got Rito on to discuss our Dream USA World Baseball Classic roster. As Jesse mentioned earlier, we are going to actually attend the games here in Houston. So looking forward to watching Team USA, and some other good teams are going to be in attendance in Houston as well. I believe Great Britain, Italy, Brazil, who am I, and Mexico. So looking forward to that tournament. And yeah, that's what today's episode is kind of going to go over. So
Yeah, and I'd like to mention this isn't my dream team, but my realistic take team with one dream on on the roster.
fair enough. I think it may be a little too soon. I think it is Dream Team due to the what we've seen in the past with players just not opting into play. So mine is more of a if all the stars align kind of team.
Yeah, that's mine as well. And the 35-man roster is due in 13 days from today. Today's November 24th. And then they'll cut it, shave down five more players based on injury and who's agreed to play and stuff like that.
It's just right around the corner, fellas.
I don't know,
We're
13
getting there.
days. It's exciting. And we've
We're
seen, I
getting
think,
there.
four or five players who have
I, be-
announced they will be playing.
I believe we're up to six, actually. I have the
Yeah.
list right here.
Yeah, let's
We
hear who we
have Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens, Bobby Witt Jr., Cal Raleigh, Corbin Carroll, Pete Crow Armstrong.
yeah.
And possibly one more yet yesterday as well. Garrett Whitlock from the Red Sox.
I did see Whitlock today.
So make that seven. We're gonna have
Get
35
seven.
before you know it.
Sweet. All right. Do you guys have lineups or just rosters?
Yes.
Yes to both of those.
Yes to both.
Okay, let's do lineup first. Do we just want to go through all nine right away or go what position by position?
Um, I would say go lineup order because then you can kind of get your position mixed in there with the batting order as well.
Okay, you want to lead us off, Rito?
You sure can. Do you want me to go all nine or
Yeah, go all nine and then mention
with
position
position?
as
Okay,
your list them off.
gotcha. So I got leading off for Team USA, Bobby Witt Jr. for shortstop. And then following him it would be Aaron Judge in right field. And then Kyle Tucker in left field. Cal Raleigh in the four hole catching. Bryce Harper at first base. Alex Bregman at third base. Kyle Schwarber as the DH. Mookie Betts playing second base. And then Corbin Carroll in center field.
Okay, we have the same one through four.
I like that. I like that.
Agree. I also have the same one through four.
Wow,
I think that's a really solid top four,
I agree,
to
but
be
I'm kind of
honest.
surprised that we all had the same one through four.
I mean, if you think about it, those are four guys that are pretty well, I think, cemented. Three of them at least have already agreed to play.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other guy is Kyle Tucker. He's pretty darn good. So
As long as he's healthy, I think that like
that
Rito
was
said,
that was
that top
one
four is solidified.
that was one thing that I had in question as well, was that as long as he comes back fully healthy.
Okay. Chris, let's hear yours. You can just start at five if you want.
Yeah, I'll start at five. I have also Kyle Schwarber DHing. Playing first, I have Matt Olson. Mookie Betts, second base, Alex Bregman, third base, and in center, I got PCA.
Nice. At number 5, I have Mookie playing second. At number 6, I have Bryce Harper at first. In the 7 hole, I have Alex Bregman playing third. And center field, I have PCA batting number 8. And then the second leadoff is Kyle Schwarber DHing.
I like that.
Yeah, so we have pretty much all the same names except for first base. So you want to explain yourself, Chris?
I think Matt Olson just solidifies this lineup for nine and fits into the lineup better than Bryce does.
That's fair. That is fair.
And to be
Yeah,
fair, a little spoiler, Bryce is on the bench. He's not off the team.
yeah. I've kind of figured when you didn't have him on the team, but
Yeah, see, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were on throwing Kyle Schwarber down in that second leadoff hole at number 9.
um, yeah. I mean, I would looking back at it, you could easily switch him with like Mookie Betts, but I was just going kind of like the left right um exchange. You have a lot of lefties in the back half of the lineup,
Yeah.
it looks like. So I figured if you put them, I mean, 7 or 8 or 8 or 9, then you have two righties coming up at the top of the order. So that was kind of my thought process behind it. But you can obviously move 'em around. It doesn't make a huge difference, but
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I tried to do there as well. Like you have Witt and Judge leading off, and then pretty much go left switch, left, right, left, right, left. I mean, it doesn't really. I think with all the guys that you have there, it doesn't really matter where they're going to fit in. They're all going to be able to perform no matter what spot they're at.
yeah, I would agree. I'm trying to pull up some stats here, but for some reason I can't get it to
It,
be the 2025 stats.
I'm also struggling with the same thing. So
It's just not
Is it just
working or
showing
what?
career?
Yeah, and Bryce
yeah, just
Harper
showing career.
rinses in career
I mean,
stats, so
played a little longer, so
yeah.
that would probably be part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Bryce has had the better career, but where they stand today, I think I'm taking Matt Olson.
Here you go. Yeah, so Matt Olson has uh slightly better batting average, slightly better OBP, um, and just a slightly better OPS. Bryce has the lead in slugging. It is close for hitting, but Matt Olson probably plays
Hmm.
better defense as well. So
Yeah,
Fair
and I
point.
think there's just a factor to Bryce as well. I can totally see why he would be starting. Like he has this, I guess I'll use the word aura about him
I
that
was
I
gonna say
I
the
could
same
see in
thing.
the USA lineup. Whereas Matt Olson, I don't get the same vibes from, but he's obviously a solid first baseman. It would be a either good backup or starter, whatever route they decide to go.
All right.
It's
Rito, let's do
another
the
thing too.
bench.
If
Oh, good.
one last thing on it, like if both of those guys are on the team, you can't really go wrong with whichever guy is out there. I mean, they're kind of showing with the stats, they're very similar players. It really just doesn't. I think at that point, it's just who is playing the best at the moment. Like who's the hot bat, you just keep running him out there. You're pretty much going to get the same thing out of both guys, really.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's kind of how I feel about the whole lineup in general. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that you can plug in place and be like, yeah, they're going to be just fine and provide.
Hmm.
So,
All right, let's hear the bench, Rito.
Okay, rounding out my bench, kind of Chris and I beforehand looked at the rosters from the 2023 World Baseball Classic, just kind of get a grasp on how they carried the guys on the bench and kind of what positions they stacked a little more on. And so they ended up carrying 3 catchers. So I kind of went along those lines. My 2 bench catchers are Will Smith and JT Realmuto. Realmuto more for that defensive part, even though Cal Raleigh and Will Smith are both solid defensively, and then Will Smith more for an extra offensive bat coming in the lineup. Say they want to DH in one game against a lefty or kind of pinch hit opportunities here and there. I think he'd be a great option for that. And then the rest of the infield bench, I have Pete Alonso and Trey Turner. So Pete Alonso for a right-handed first baseman, kind of same scenario. You have a left-handed arm, kind of get him in there, get some at bats against a lefty, and then Trey Turner as a guy along with Mookie Betts who can pretty much play anywhere in the infield. And Alex Bregman, I mean, any of those guys can pretty much you can plug and place wherever you want to put them. So the only downside there is then the only left-handed hitting infielder would be Bryce Harper, which again, kind of how we were talking, you can kind of work around that with just the talent that you have. And then my other outfielders would be Pete Crow Armstrong and then Byron Buxton.
Mm.
I had a take for Chris beforehand that I made sure to save for the podcast for you guys, but I can do that once you guys go through the rest of your bench players.
Yeah, let's do that. Chris, you have anything different? Mine is a little bit different.
Mine is a little different. I went down the same route Rito did. I think they are going to have three catchers on the roster, but instead of JT Realmuto, I chose Adley Rutschman. I think the versatility of having two catchers who are switch hitters can really change this lineup. You can look at their splits and plug them in where necessary, and then having Will Smith too, like Rito said, against a lefty, or if they want him to catch one day, he can do that too. Like I mentioned earlier, I have Bryce Harper, and my other infielder would be Gunnar Henderson. His versatility to play anywhere in the infield, and just he's a young upcoming star. So I think he'll be a nice addition. And then my two outfielders on the bench, I have Corbin Carroll and Jackson Merrill. That is my bench squad. What about you, Jess?
Yeah, did you say Will Smith is a lefty?
I did not. If he were to face a lefty, sorry
Okay. No, no, no.
if I
You're good.
didn't clarify that.
Yeah, I have for my infield, I have Trey Turner, former captain, so I don't see a way he's left off this roster. I have Gunnar Henderson, another lefty bat that can play third and short. Then I got Ernie Clement, my utility infielder with one of the best postseason runs in recent history. And then outfield, I have Corbin Carroll, another left-handed outfield bat. I have Mike Trout, who can play outfield and DH. And then I think I forgot to say Will Smith earlier as well as my backup catcher. And then
Nice.
if we do want to bring three catchers, I would bring Adley Rutschman instead of Ernie Clement. And then if you need another first baseman instead of a left side infielder, bring Pete Alonso instead of Gunnar Henderson.
I just want to say I was on the verge of bringing Ernie too until I realized they brought three catchers last time as well. So I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. I think Ernie would be a great addition to this team. I hope they find a way to get him on.
Yeah, my thing is like he will play whatever role you need him in, and he doesn't mind being the last player on the team. Like if he doesn't see the field, I'm sure he'll get an at bat or two, but I don't think he would mind that at all. You may have some players with a little bit more ego that are, all stars every year and have a little more expectation to be a bigger part, have a bigger role on the team. So I think he'd be a good fit for the last spot. But also he can play first base, second base, shortstop, and third. So yeah,
I do
I
have some
love Ernie
breaking
Clement.
news.
we get a passing bomb just now.
We did not get a passing bomb, an underdog MLB bomb. Shohei Ohtani will play for Team Japan in 2026.
Yeah, well, we should talk about that after our roster.
Okay.
We have some conversation to have about that.
But we got a confirmation that he will be playing, so that's exciting.
Yeah, that is. Um, Hopefully more names to come after hearing that one because we know there's been some Dodger discourse about the World Baseball Classic. So, any more comments about the first nine and then the six bench players, assuming they go 15 and 15?
I
Let's
was
Rito needs a Mike Trout moment here.
I was gonna say
Oh, yeah.
I was a little surprised Chris didn't have Mike Trout on there, but that was going to be my take that I just don't think that he makes the roster this time around.
Well, Jesse did have him in the.
I
I
had him
know.
in, and I,
I was a little nervous when I was hearing Chris not take him though.
so my
That
thought process behind it is if you need someone to DH, you could put him in where Kyle Schwarber was, and then you have a lefty-righty
Mhm.
split at DH as well. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But I
I don't
understand
hate
having
that either.
Buxton instead.
My only argument would be to that is like you could also do the same thing with like Pete Alonso,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know. I think at the moment right now, I feel like Pete Alonso is just a little bit better of a hitter. Not saying that Mike Trout doesn't have like the years behind him, but he is kind of getting up there in age. I don't know, he just didn't have the greatest season this year. I think he's kind of maybe losing his step, but then next year he'll probably turn around and somehow find a way to be in the MVP race again and show me that I don't know what I'm talking about. So
Put put it on a quote card. Reed Hansen, Mike Trout, bad at baseball.
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll get that
pretty
posted on
much,
Twitter as
pretty
soon as
much.
possible.
And
Um,
then put that in quotes, Christopher Sathie.
it's got a slightly better OBP than Pete Alonso, but that's about it. Pete Alonso is
Mm-hmm.
definitely the better hitter. It's just whether you need a first baseman or a center fielder, like you said, either both of them can
Yeah.
DH.
And I mean,
Look at
he definitely could end up making it. Like I have Byron Buxton on this team. He could definitely end up making it over Mike Trout. But like another part that I had Buxton in there was he had one of his best seasons of his career coming in, and he gives you that kind of versatility. If you need a defensive guy to plug in, you can throw him out wherever you need to. I mean, if you need somebody to get on base and steal a base, you could either put him in there or whatever. Like he kind of brings that a little bit of that versatility as well, and he can put one 460 feet into left field as well if you need that. So you can kind of bring that around a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rito, on the Mike Trout thing. I just think he wants to play as long as he possibly can, and
Mm-hmm.
the extra games and intensity of this may be a little too much for him at this point in his career, and he may just try to save it to ultimately get to the World Series or make. Let's start with the playoffs, then we can worry about the World Series.
Yeah,
But
let's start with getting back to at least playing 3 playoff games before getting swept.
agreed, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind Byron Bucks on this team, and a phenomenal defensive center fielder as well. I mean, you have him and PCA in center would be a pretty elite
Yeah, could
platoon.
you imagine him, PCA, and Corbin Carroll running the outfield with like a 2-run lead in the eighth and ninth inning or something like that? Like,
Yeah,
there's not a single ball that will touch the grass in the outfield.
yeah, I like it. Okay. Um, so we agree that Ernie's not that crazy of a pick.
I don't hate it,
I
especially after the performance he just put up in October. I mean, the only thing is like, do they go with a role guy like that, which I feel like has worked in previous years in like different sports as well as baseball, or do they go with that other like star name who has the potential to play really well, like to be that star player that they could just plug in when they need to?
it's all wraps. I got the video of DeRosa, like Herb Brooks, just already having the lineup in mind. He doesn't really care who the stars are. He's got his dream lineup in play.
It's
We're
fair.
gonna win it all.
Because like the one thing I would look to is like Team USA for basketball a couple summers ago when they had guys like Derek White and Drew Holiday playing 15 times the amount of minutes as Jason Tatum in half the games, and just because they're those role guys that'll go out there and kind of fill the lane of that they need to, while the other 3-star players or 4-star players on the field kind of can do their thing, you know?
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that makes me think they probably won't bring him is that you have good defensive options at third, short, and second in Alex Bregman, Bobby Witt, and Mookie Betts. If one of those guys was subpar defensively, I would say that you definitely bring a utility guy that is in the
Yep,
running for Gold Glove. But in this situation, he's probably not needed, and you probably bring a bat instead.
makes sense.
And he's a fine base runner, but he's not stealing bases. So
Yeah.
okay. And then What do we got for pitchers? I have seven like starters slash long arms.
I have four starters and then a closer.
Okay, let
Same
me.
here.
I'll start with my starters, and then you guys can do your starters and closer. Um, I think I have three that we're all gonna have on the list, so I'll start with those. Paul Skeens, uh, Tariq Skubal, and Garrett Crochet.
Got him.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, and then I have Hunter Green, Logan
Okay.
Gilbert, Logan Webb, and then Garrett Whitlock was the one who is a lock, no pun intended. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Hunter Green's been so good. I don't see a way you leave him off. He's just got electric stuff. He's got the velocity and the breaking ball. And then Logan Gilbert was great this year. And the postseason, he can come out of the bullpen too if needed in those long release situations or even to close a game. Logan Webb has been just one of the most consistent pitchers in recent years. Um, he's like the one name that, you could leave off, but then Garrett Whitlock obviously has already been announced. So
Can I
I
ask
like it.
why you went seven starters? Like just because of like the ability to come out of the pen potentially if needed?
yeah, well, I think you have to bring more than five starters if you're like a World Baseball Classic team. Just because if one of them does have a stinker against one of these good teams, you have to have some arms out of the bullpen that can go the distance.
Yeah, but I almost lean the other way. Like I only have these four starters on the roster because then you can fill your depth with the other like relief pitchers who like that is their job. That's what they're comfortable doing is coming in and getting 2 innings of work in the fifth and sixth inning, and then you can rely on those like high leverage guys who are used to being put in those situations compared to like a postseason run where it's the end of October and you have 4 games left in your year and it's not March where you have the rest of your season to look forward to after this World Baseball Classic as well, where they're going to put you in these high leverage situations you're not really used to.
Yeah, that's fair. I would argue that some of these guys are used to that. I mean, you saw Logan Gilbert throw final innings in games in game 6 and 7. So I think that's not that that's his role, but I don't know. I just think that I could see him bringing more. And then obviously injuries do happen, so you don't
Yeah,
want to.
but like I guess I don't know exactly how it works. Like if a guy does go down, if they're able to add a guy from the 35 man to the 30, where because like that's another thing is you get 30 players for the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah.
And so when Chris and I went back and looked, we saw that they had brought 15 position guys and 15 pitchers. And of those 15 pitchers, they had five starters. But then it was like one of them was like Adam Wainwright, who I guess he pitched quite a bit, but it's like they had another couple starters who were just kind of like at the time not really at the top of the league in starting pitching. And so I feel like if they are like with Paul Skeens kind of leading the way, able to get these top end arms, they can kind of lean on those guys a little more and rely on them to actually take them deeper in games compared to what the 2023 roster looked like. So then you can kind of load up with the rest of those relievers.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that for I mean 8 relievers seems reasonable. I mean you 10 relievers seems excessive. Like how many of those guys are not going to pitch or they come in a blowout game?
Well, yeah, but like that's kind of what they're there for. Like you don't want to bring your 4 to 5 like closing type pitchers, and then like in a blowout game, then it's like oh like let's just throw Ed or like some David Bednar out there while you're up by 7 runs. Like he's gonna be one of your top end arms, I think, coming out of the bullpen compared to just like oh like we have uh who'd you say Logan Gilbert like let's just run him out there for 3 innings just for fun.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're seeing a little bit of a new wave and starting pitchers coming out of the bullpen more often. So I'm just rolling with it, but I mean I'm not surprised if they only bring five starters.
I blame the Dodgers for all their injuries that caused them to have so many starting pitchers who just come out of the bullpen and then nobody
But
uses their bullpen.
you watch it in the playoffs, it happened in almost every team. The Blue Jays did it, bringing Bassett out of the bullpen, and Trey Savage and Osmond were
See, but
reported
but
available.
Bassett was more of like an actual relief pitcher in the postseason. Like I don't think he had a
He
start
was.
in the postseason.
He didn't, but he's obviously a notable starting pitcher and had never come out of the bullpen
Yeah,
before. Um, Logan Gilbert came out of the bullpen. Brian Wu came out of the bullpen. I mean,
and
it
I
happens
think
more and
part of
more.
that, I think part of that could be too is because like you in the regular season you rely on a five-man like pitching rotation, sometimes six,
Mm,
depending on like who's all there, injuries, blah blah blah. And then in the postseason, all of that gets condensed down so tight where like you're in a you're in a 5 game series in the ALDS and you get your number one arm to go game one and game five, like you take out that number five starter, and so then you just kind of flip him into the bullpen, and then as needed, like he comes in, and then from there you just kind of ride the hot arm, whoever's pitching the best, and if it happens to be that guy, it happens to be that guy. But
yeah.
I feel like this postseason sometimes it got a little kind of blown out of proportion in some of the games. Like obviously you got to take out the 15 inning game between the Mariners and the Tigers and whatnot, because like that's just like a ridiculous circumstance where like you have to go to those guys because they're the only ones you have left down there.
Okay, so how about Yamamoto pitching, and then he started and then came out the next day to finish the game and pitch three more
Again,
innings.
that's like just a like last game of the year. That's riding the hot arm. He had been their best pitcher far and away, just not even close. Like the Dodgers didn't throw a relief pitcher in that game. Like they were
Yeah,
all starters throughout the regular season,
yeah,
which I mean, again, they're just riding their hot arm.
yeah. I agree. Chris,
Both great arguments.
what do you got?
So I have four starters. I had three, we talked about that top three we all agreed on, Scooble, Skeens, and Crochet. My fourth starter, a little bit of a homer pick, Hunter Brown.
Yeah.
I just think
I know
he
I
is the oh,
sorry,
go
I was
ahead,
gonna say I
Rito.
know I didn't mention my fourth starter. He is also my fourth starter, so I love that pick.
I think being able coming into 2025, there were high expectations for Hunter Brown, and he lived up to them completely. I think the few years he had with Justin Verlander, his idol growing up, you can kind of just watch the way Hunter Brown pitches. It's very Verlander-esque, and I think Hunter is ready to take that next step and join that top tier of Scooble, Skeens, and Crochet.
I could see that as well. I have no problem
I mean,
bringing him over like Logan Webb, for example, or the Hunter Green or whoever you want to throw out there.
And
he
then
was
for a
he was right there this year. I mean, he took what was it, third in
Yep.
Cy Young voting?
yep,
Like, I mean, he's right there with those guys already, pretty much.
exactly. So I just think, if all the stars align and we can get these four guys in a rotation, I don't care who's in the pen, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch Hunter Brown pitch in a playoff game, but that's too bad.
Ouch. That hurt. That hurt a little.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be known he has pitched in a playoff game before, but
Yeah, just not when
That
he's
is
pitching
true.
like he did last season.
correct, correct. And then for my closer, another homer pick, I went Josh Hader. I think it's a pretty clear pick in my mind. I don't know who's been more dominant over the last 5, 6 years. So
I also went Josh Hader with my closer, just as a relief pitcher to throw out there. But I mean, I had mentioned David Bednar earlier. He's kind of a guy that I had in the back of my mind as well, just as another relief closer type guy.
yeah, and there's some other guys who I think could fit the bill too. I just like Josh's experience and
Hmm.
his what he brings to the table from a pitch selection.
And I mean, that's another thing too. Like with the bullpen, however you want to go about it, there are so many guys that you can kind of lean on, like just from across the league. It's like you can just go anywhere. Like another one I
Spe
had in mind was like Trevor McGill, like Louis Varland would be a name, like kind of guys like that, like that are those high leverage arms that have been there and have been proven to be a guy that their managers can rely on in big situations. Like if you need two outs against Otani and whoever else is in the Japan lineup and like the sixth inning and you just go to a high leverage guy like that, like you have those guys that have been there and done that and proven that they can get out. So it's a lot of names across the league you can pick.
Yeah, for sure. And Jesse's looking up relievers here from the US. Another just a kind of sidebar of the conversation you guys were having where, you put starters in the pen. I saw a report today that some teams are pursuing Ryan Helsley as a starter. Anyone else
Hmm.
see that report come across?
I didn't.
I did
Yeah.
not.
I saw the Tigers were and then some other teams as well. So I I've noticed that happening a lot too. A lot of relievers are getting thrown into, oh, hey, they've proved they can kind of go for a few innings. Let's try
Hmm.
this out and see how they do long term. So I think a guy like Luke Weaver is another name to watch who could potentially turn into a starter. So as next year goes on, we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I've heard Luke Weaver. I've also heard Mason Miller transitioning, and I've heard Louis Varland, who used to be a starter.
Yeah,
Mason Miller's
it's
another guy that
interesting to
we haven't even mentioned him, and he's like throws like 104.
Yeah, my closer would be Mason Miller, and then
Yeah,
lefty would be Josh Hader.
I like that.
I just think that you need those guys that are just get so hyped, pumped up on the mound, and the confidence is really key in these big games. And unfortunately, we haven't seen him from Mason Miller yet, but he would just be so awesome to watch in a tight
Oh
game.
yeah.
Just a dog
yeah, now that he's on the Padres, I'd imagine we'll see that sooner than later.
for sure. Okay, so we get on the roster. We I think we're all in agreement. We just have a few names that could be swapped, and we're all in agreement on who those guys would be.
Yeah.
100%. I, yeah, and just to touch on the pitching depth from 2023, it's not all stars. I think and Jesse alluded to this earlier, this may have been the conversation he wanted to have later on. I think their team, the MLB has a say in what their guys are doing and
Yeah.
who they want to pitch and how many innings they're allowed to pitch. So I think that may be some of the reason you saw the names you did in 2023. And I'm hoping this go around we see some more of that star talent, but maybe in a limited fashion.
Yeah, so the conversation I wanted to have was the Dodgers saying they didn't want Otani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. And I'm not surprised if other teams are thinking the same thing, but not going out and saying it. Obviously, the Dodgers are in a position where they're perennial World Series contenders. I just don't see how you can prevent your guys from going to play in the World Baseball Classic if there's not injury concern.
Yeah, I think I understand it, like knowing the history of some of your guys and knowing the extra innings. It's gonna possibly force them to pitch, especially at the right away at the beginning of the year. I know they get ramped up towards the end of February and into March, but it's pretty quick and it'll be interesting to see how DeRosa handles the pitching situation and how he manages that. So,
And I'm sure Mets fans are cringing at the World Baseball Classic coming up and just praying that every one of their players does not play in it just because of what happened to Edwin Diaz in 2023.
yeah, and that one's even like a freakier incident. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They were celebrating.
it wasn't even during the sport of baseball. It was after the game was over and jumping around and celebrating and whatnot. So,
Yeah, non-related injuries are just the worst, but that does
hmm.
bring up the point that injuries happen, and regardless of, I understand they're pitching high leverage innings, but players get hurt in spring training all the time. Not saying that this is like no injury risk, but I think it's and it's easy for me to say looking from the outside, but it's excessive to prevent your players that have been healthy to not pitch. And I'm sure there will
Yeah.
be inning limits put to each of these players, but I'm glad at least Otani has announced that he is playing.
Yeah, I think the issue the MLB teams have with it is if they get hurt during spring training, at least it's under their own team,
Yeah, it's under their own
from
doing.
under their own doing where they lose control when Shohei goes to Team Japan and they're like, "Hey, we prefer you pitch these amount of innings." But at the end of the day, the game starts, Shohei goes, "Screw that. I want to pitch 7 innings. I want to pitch 8 innings. Oh, and I want to come in the ninth inning tomorrow." I think once they lose that sense of control, they get a little scared.
I agree. I think I'm I don't know how this works exactly, but I'm curious to know if the managers of the World Baseball Classic team have conversations with MLB teams because MLB teams can deny them the right to go play in the World Baseball Classic. So I'm curious to say that like, okay, yeah, Otani, you're at a 6 inning or 80 pitch count limit, and we cannot deviate from that. I'm just not really sure how that works.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point too. I guess I don't know if the managers and all that are in contact with the MLB teams or if the MLB teams like tell their players when they're going like, hey, make sure they know this, and that or whatever. And that's a interesting point to bring up as well.
You have to think, yes, that DeRosa and his staff are consistently talking with these managers, making sure that they're not going past an area where these MLB teams are comfortable with their players who they're ultimately paying during this time period, mind you not. So,
And they do have the World Baseball Classic does have built-in pitch count limitations for this reason. So s- the pitch limit is 65 in the first round, 80 in the quarterfinals, and 95 in the semifinals and finals.
seems fair.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes sense that it ramps up like that as the games become more meaningful. You want your best pitchers out there.
I
And they
just
also
want to see
have,
I
go
just want
ahead.
to see Skeens for 65 against Team Mexico. That's it.
Yep.
Or
And
Hunter Brown.
That's like we said, any of those four, I'm good with.
Mhm.
and it does say that um, pitchers who throw 50 or more pitches have to rest for at least 4 days, while a pitcher who throws 30 or more only needs 1 day of rest. So they have these limitations. I'm just curious if managers of MLB teams have discussions and um,
I'm
maybe
sure
they
that's what it
become more
stems
strict.
from, honestly,
Yeah.
as
So
well as like just because like they don't want a guy who's coming off of maybe one spring training start going into the World Baseball Classic in the first round and bumping 105 pitches in an 8 inning shutout, giving up one hit or something like that, you know?
yeah, for sure.
And it does kind of slow that build up into the season as well, kind of like what spring training is meant to do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just glad to see that, these players are agreeing to play and the teams are letting them play.
Mhm. I agree. I also just quickly pulled up the Team USA coaching staff, and there's a lot of names on here that are pretty big players from when they were on in the MLB themselves. So you got Andy Pettit with the pitching coach, Matt Holliday as the hitting coach, David Ross as the bullpen coach, Brian McCann and Michael Young both as assistant managers.
Nice.
So
Yeah, you
getting the former players in there too. Like to
yeah,
see it.
they obviously know how this works and the ins and
Yeah.
outs of everything. And then they also have the players back, so they're not going to run anyone into the ground.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just another tidbit for the World Baseball Classic. Salvador Perez was named the captain of Team Venezuela for 2026 today as well.
I
So
did see that. Good for him. Fun fact, did you know that the Kansas City Royals pitch comm is Salvador Perez's voice?
that's awesome.
I don't know if other teams do that, but that's just so funny to me that you, I heard it. You just have his little accent when he's saying all these different pitches. And it's just like as he would be calling them, which is awesome.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, the comfort of knowing Salvi's back there calling pitches, it's got to provide a little bit of relief to their pitching. So,
Yeah.
This got me down the line of the other World Baseball Classic team coaching staffs, and Albert Pujols is the Dominican Republic manager.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He he interviewed for the Angels manager role this offseason, I believe. Is that correct?
I know
Yeah, he was
he
like in talks for it, and then they didn't end up going that way. They went with a different former Angel player, good old Kurt Suzuki,
I
former Twin.
yes, and I know for a fact he interviewed for the Orioles managerial position. I know he was in conversation with the Angels, but I don't know if an interview ever happened.
Can't tell you.
It's a
I
little bit
think
of
my
a
keyboard is
struggle.
glitched. Yeah, so
You gotta show the last
the
that's gonna be the name of the episode is whatever you typed in before this.
the Padres, it's rumored that he had a 9.5 hour interview with the Padres and he didn't get the job. Oh,
Wow.
I mean that's insane. Yeah, but I know he interviewed for the Angels manager position, and that was a weird one because he's already employed by the Angels under a different role.
Hmm.
And I've heard some discourse. I know Baseball is Dead podcast talked about it. Like, how do you accept another role within the same organization when you're already getting guaranteed money and there's overlap in those two roles? So just some like unethical and contract dilemmas going on there, but ultimately he
Yep.
didn't wasn't the guy anyways. So
Yeah. And then Rito, another name that popped out to me was the Puerto Rico manager.
Is that Yachty?
It is Yadier
I
Molina.
was trying to remember if he was the manager for one of the for his home country as well.
He sure is. So some fun names that are going to be seen throughout the World Baseball Classic. Looking forward to that.
I looked up the Venezuela ones as well. Their manager is Omar Lopez, and then hitting coach Miguel Cabrera, pitching coach Johan Santana, assistant manager Victor Martinez, bench coach Robinson Chirinos, and first base coach Gerardo Parra.
oh
Awesome. I love that
So
coaching staff. And then you look at Italy, I believe it's Mike Piazza.
yes, it
I
is.
believe you're right. Yeah,
So
love
lot of
seeing
cool
it.
names. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say Yachty was my favorite catcher growing up, but I got a lot of shit for that being from Minnesota when we had Joe Mauer around. So
I mean, Yachty's electric.
yeah, he just a dog. I mean, there's so many funny clips of him calling out players, telling them to try to steal and things like that. He's just a box office.
I agree.
Him and Wayno considered maybe the top battery of all time.
They're definitely up there. I mean, can't really argue much with it.
I believe they have the most games together.
Probably.
So, well, I think, does anyone else have anything on the World Baseball Classic?
I don't, other than I'm really excited to go.
I agree. I think it'll be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Do we want to do a quick free agency slash trade off season update?
I mean, not much has happened, so I'm okay, but if unless you guys have something to bring up.
We can maybe wait
Yeah,
and see if anybody does anything over Thanksgiving if they're feeling a little thankful for what's going around in the MLB with all the money that's going and decide to finally sign a contract.
yeah. The only thing that came to mind was yesterday the Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Simeon
Yeah,
trade.
we can do that. Some people were calling it unfair just because of the amount of games played, like injury uh scares, but in the last 4 seasons, they've pretty much played the exact same amount of games I saw. Um, yeah, it's just surprising with the age of the players that the Rangers were able to get Nimmo.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
mean
Yeah, I thought it
it's
was a win for the Rangers in my eyes, dumping that Simeon contract. I believe Nimmo is owed more money, but over a longer period of time, to where it probably works out in the Rangers' favor too, from
Yep.
a yearly salary standpoint. And then I just like the way Nimmo's playing baseball these days over Simeon. Obviously, Simeon's dropped off from where he was a couple years ago. So I thought it was a clear win for the Rangers, but time will tell.
Yeah, I think it gives the Rangers a bump on defense as well, which will be good for them.
Agreed.
I kind
We
of
have
think
anything
it's
else in this?
kind of just
Oh,
a
go.
lateral move from both teams. It's just kind of flipping players that are going to be in the middle back end of their lineup probably and just kind of be role guys anyways. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of similar to the what was it? The Nick Allen and Dubon trade. It's just a one for one. Like you never see a
Yeah,
really unfair one for one trade anymore.
no.
Are we discussing the greatest trade of all time? Nick Allen, future MVP?
No, we are
All
not
right.
discussing the greatest trade of all time. Just the Nick Allen trade.
It's going to be known as the Nick Allen trade.
Not the Dubon trade, not the Gold Glove trade.
I don't even know who that guy is, to be honest. I'm moved on. I'm all in on Nick Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Nick
Mm-hmm.
Allen MVP season starts today.
Yeah, I know you can't see Chris right now, but he has tears rolling down his face as he says that.
Yeah, it was all a lie. I miss Dubon. I miss that guy.
All right, well, I think that wraps it up for the World Baseball Classic edition of the Platoon podcast. Well, there'll definitely be some live content at in Houston, so that'll
Let's
be fun.
go.
Can't
Which
wait,
game are
boys.
you
It'll be a
most
great time.
excited about?
I mean, USA Mexico, that's not much of a
I
question,
mean,
but
yeah,
Just wanted to
yeah.
make sure. I do have a little Thanksgiving question. Quick one, and then we can get
oh
out of here.
yes. All right.
Best and worst side. Reed, go.
Oh man,
Is this sides
this
only or
one
desserts included?
You can do whatever you want. Rita's kind of picky, so I'm interested to hear this one.
worst side. This might be a
Oh no.
no. I absolutely despise stuffing. It's the worst thing in the entire
That is the
universe.
one of the hottest takes we've ever seen on the
The
Platoon
worst thing
podcast.
in the world. Like it's
And
just horrible.
this is the last time Reed was on the pod. So,
Yeah, it's
No,
terrible.
I don't
okay.
mind that take, to be honest.
I li I
Um,
like it. You stood on business. I like it.
and then the best is kind of a homemade one back home. They do like this. One side of the family does this little corn casserole. That's just so
Yeah,
good.
nice.
Can't go wrong with a little casserole, especially with corn in it. So,
I'm gonna go best side cheesy mashed or cheesy potatoes, like the shredded potatoes. Worst side,
yeah.
like cranberry sauce. Who's eating that anyways?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Jess, on the worst. I don't understand cranberries' place in a meal. Anyway, like cranberry juice, yeah, I'll drink it.
Yeah.
It's good for the tummy. But anything else, I don't want it to have cranberries on it or next to it or anything. But the best side, it's not even close, boys. Green bean casserole. Love me some green bean casserole.
I don't know.
It depends.
I will I
Some
will
are some
say
are good, some are okay.
my favorite thing is pumpkin pie. Just so good. I'll be buying pumpkin pie until like February if they have it in store.
I mean, you can't go
Are
wrong
you
with
telling me
pumpkin
you'd
pie.
take
We're being honest.
are you telling me you'd take pumpkin pie over apple pie?
Absolutely. I remember in college
It's another take.
me and my
Another
roommates would
take.
go buy entire pumpkin pies and try to eat like one ourselves in a night. And the next day was rough.
That is some straight up college shit.
You don't say.
I mean, he called me a word that I can't say and told me to buy it and eat it. So I tried, dude. I don't even remember if I finished it. I think there was still like I'm gonna say like roughly 2 slices left, although they weren't in slice form. I was going spoon straight out of the tin. So
Do you add whipped cream when you eat pumpkin pie?
normally, yes. In that occasion, I was trying to get like least calories possible. It's like the dunking the bread in the water and trying to minimize condiments situation.
Gotcha.
So, but normally,
Fair.
absolutely, you have to. Or
And
ice cream.
then one before we go, ham or turkey.
Turkey for Thanksgiving, ham is a Christmas thing.
Don't hate that. I'm also gonna go turkey here.
Neither sides rule.
Oh,
All right.
that's worse than the
This guy.
that's worse than the
No,
stuffing
no,
too.
I'm just kidding. I
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I prefer the sides over the meat, but if I think Jesse had it right, it's turkey for Thanksgiving, ham for Christmas.
Yeah, and gravy all over the turkey as well. And it can't be dry, dude. If you have some dry turkey,
Yeah.
then it is sides all the way.
Yep.
I'll one
All right,
up you
boys.
guys on this one.
Oh,
Turkey for Thanksgiving and Papa Murphy's pizza for Christmas.
there you go.
Sure, I'm down with that.
We actually tried
Electric.
to order pizza as for the whole family, and they ended up being closed that day. My grandpa didn't know, so we had to go to Bucky's and buy about $250 worth of sandwiches. I think that was 2 years ago.
Was
So
this GD or other
Love
grandpa?
Bucky's.
no, my
Okay,
other grandpa. So it happens. Pizza isn't always a move.
it happens.
Bucky's is a wonderful, wonderful place. If
Bucky's
you've never
is
been,
open on
it's
the
a
holidays
religious
if you need to go.
experience.
Jesse will get
Awesome.
to see it once he comes down here. But
Yeah,
good episode, boys.
we'll do a Bucky's review on the Twitter page or
Oh,
something.
for sure.
I've never been
There you
there,
go.
so
It's a
Let's do it.
religious experience.
awesome. All
Good
right.
episode, boys.
Good
Yeah.
episode.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week for probably more free agency stuff. Hopefully, someone signs here eventually. Peace.